Welcome back. It's a beautiful but cold Sunday morning here at the farm, and I'm continuing our cabinet project. So let's get it started. We are Alex and Elena, a couple in our mid-20s working towards financial independence and self-sustainability.
Follow our journey as we grow, build, fix, and learn the skills we need to get us there.
I started off by taking some measurements in my mocked-up face frame and doing some literal back-of-the-envelope sketches. For the drawer boxes, I used 1/2-inch MDF with maple veneer. I later realized this wasn't the best material. I should have just used solid stock or plywood. But it does have a clean look with the maple veneer, and it seemed to work out okay in the end. I cut the rails and stiles for my doors and drawers out of poplar. My method of joining the drawer boxes and doors is the dado and rabbit method. I've had success with it before, so I decided to just repeat this on this project. I always make sure to dry fit everything together in order to make any adjustments, and in this case I had to make quite a few adjustments to these pieces. The door panel stiles were pre-drilled with a 35mm Forstner bit for the Euro-style cup hinges that are going to go in a little bit later. Here's all the pieces that I screwed up in the process of making these doors and drawers. This jig allowed me to drill consistent handle holes. Okay, I'm back in the basement. I'm doing all my gluing down here just because it's too cold to do anything outside. And so I thought I would go over my general methods of gluing these panels up. It's really simple. I have my 2 bar clamps down here on the table, and then I'm only putting glue here on the ends of these stiles. That way my panel can free float and it can expand and contract as temperature, humidity changes, and it won't crack my paint at the joints there. I was going to use these little black cabinet spacer balls, which I got online, but they turned out to be too firm for my use and I didn't have enough space cut, so I'm just gonna let the panel float on its own, and I'm sure it'll turn out okay. After gluing everything, I went over it with a 220 grit sandpaper on the mouse sander. And here's me cutting out channels in the bottoms of the cabinets. This is where the under cabinet lighting wire is going to go. The last major cutting I needed to do on the cabinets was the access hole for this outlet. And now we're finally ready to start finishing the cabinets. This is my least favorite part of any woodworking project, as I think many woodworkers feel the same. And so I recruited Elena to help do some painting. For the actual paint on these cabinets, we are going to prime with this Kills, just standard grade primer. And then the paint is a little bit special. It is called INSL-X Cabinet Coat. It's made by Benjamin Moore. This is tinted to a color called Granite Gray, and it matches the trim in our bathroom. This is not cheap paint. This gallon out the door was $71. So that's the reason we're priming, even though this paint technically is a self-priming paint. We're going to prime anyway because I don't want to use any more of this than I have to. And maybe if we have some left over, we'll use it in the new house. Moving on to the door and drawer panels. Before we start painting these, I actually already went through and I put some Bondo wood filler in any open crack where the joint wasn't absolutely perfect. This will just get us a better overall finish when it's all done with no gaps in the paint. I'm a pretty big fan of this little yellow duckbill thing that clamps onto paint cans. It keeps the paint from dripping down and makes cleanup so much easier. I used a high density foam roller to apply it, and a brush in the tight spots, and overall this paint evens out really well. Between coats of primer and paint, everything got a light hand sanding with a 200 grit, and then got a wipe off with a damp rag to remove the dust. I thought the cleanest look for the cabinet would be right up against the wall, so I removed this section of baseboard. I set the separate toe kick in place where I cut out the baseboard, and just setting my level across it, I needed a shim over here, but otherwise I've got the toe base level, and now I can drive screws through the pocket holes around the perimeter. That seemed to fit in pretty decently where I cut out. I got this 250-foot roll of half-inch edge banding on Amazon. That's what's gonna go on all of the shelf fronts. And it's just pre-glued, just gotta iron it on. Now, because I'm mounting on unsquare walls, I have some issues to deal with when it comes to putting this face frame on. So I'm making it one solid piece. I'm basically joining the backs of these frames with a couple pocket screws. That's what that one is right there, and there's a matching one below. I'm gonna do the same thing on the big piece. So this whole face frame will go up together, and that way I don't have to fuss around with getting these edges perfectly lined up once the cabinet's already up there. The gap is going to be on the back side of the face frame, and it's going to be concealed. The face frame is held on with just pocket screws coming from the back side on both the top and bottom all the way around the cabinet. This is probably overkill, but pocket screws through the cabinet bottoms into the studs will keep the cabinets from swinging out. Okay, now that I got my face frames on permanently, my cabinets are hung. I got this thing screwed down to the toe base. I'm just going to pivot a little bit and just mount my drawer boxes in. For these, I lined up my face frame on here to verify that my slides were all in a good place, and then basically found that my slides need to be mounted up 1/4 inch from the bottom edge of my drawer box. Because the sides of my drawer boxes are only 1/2 inch wide, I got these special low profile head drawer slide screws. This way the screw doesn't interfere with the slide mechanism as it's working. I put the slides back 3/4 from the front of the drawer so the drawer came flush with the face frame. And here's me realizing I put the slides on in opposite directions. The first time or two you close these slides, you kind of have to slam it, but after that it smooths up. FYI, the brand of the slides I used was Fulterer. So I got these first 2 drawers in, and of course on the 3rd and final drawer is a cabinet maker's worst nightmare, where the drawer is just a little bit too tight at the very back, so it doesn't want to close. I kind of saw this when I was dry fitting it. I was hoping just putting the hinges on or putting the slides on would work. It didn't. So I basically have 2 options: make the drawer a little bit narrower at the back, or open the back of the cabinet up a little bit. And I do have these spacers in the cabinet that my drawer slides are fastened to, so I think I'm going to just try to shave that spacer back on one side. It's only got to go like 1/8 of an inch, less than that maybe, and then just see if that opens it up enough for the slide to work properly. So I marked where I needed to take off for the drawer slide, and I'm just going to use a good old-fashioned chisel to take a layer off this plywood there, just to keep the dust down. I don't want to get dust in the rest of these drawer slides because it makes them really not work well. Not the prettiest thing ever, but theoretically you won't ever see this, and hopefully the drawer works better now. I think it worked. See how the soft close is actually working now? No extra effort. Cool. Well, that is a wrap for part 2 of the laundry cabinet build. Stay tuned for the third and final part of this saga, where I put all the finishing touches on the cabinets, including crown molding, finish all the lighting, both under cabinet and the ceiling light fixture, and finally build the base for this countertop, which is going to go where I'm sitting right now. Hope you got something out of the video. If there's something that you might have done differently, feel free to leave a comment below. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Mason Dixon Acres. Feel free to like and subscribe to this video if you got something out of it. It really helps us out and helps share the content with other people who also might enjoy it. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.